Hi everyone, my name is Emily and I'm the Young Adult Librarian at the Rock Island Public Library, and today I have two books for you that are both available through our Libby app. And I will say with Libby, probably the best thing is to search for titles, because if you want to browse graphic novels like I did, even though both of these titles are from this year, I'm not quite sure how graphic novels or other titles are organized in Libby, because even though these ones are pretty new, the second book came up pretty fast just from browsing graphic novels as like a keyword, but the first book I'm going to tell you about didn't come up until I was like 2/3 of the way through all the graphic novels. And this is how I found out about it, because I had not heard of this book previously. And it is Little Monarchs by Jonathan Case. And in this book, you meet a girl. Her name is Elvie, and she is 10. And her caretaker is a woman named Flora, who is a biologist. And they live in a world, it's in the future at some point. And for 50 years now, there's been a thing called sun sickness. And what this does is, if you're a mammal, for example, it will mostly kill you if you are exposed to the sun. So almost all mammal life on Earth has been wiped out. Now there are still roads being maintained by there are these autonomous robots that still kind of keep up roads. But for the most part, if you're a human, one of the survivors, you live underground. You don't want to expose yourself to the sun. But in addition to these people living underground, you have Elvie and Flora, because Flora has discovered basically what she has to do is take a few scales from the wings of a butterfly, and just monarchs, only monarch butterflies, and this makes the antidote to sun sickness. So Flora and Elvie are actually able to be above ground and be out in the sun. And the problem here, though, is, as in our time, their monarch butterflies seem to have kind of come back a bit in this time. There's, in our reality right now, they are listed as an endangered species, but here there seem to be enough of them that Flora and Elvie can find them to make this medicine, but there's not enough to make this antidote to sun sickness for the general human population that is left. Because you can't just take it once, you have to keep taking it to be out in the sun safely. So what these two are doing is they're following the migration of monarch butterflies, and they want to find a vaccine. They want to create a vaccine that will work. But there's lots of dangers along the way. There's natural disasters, just weather and traveling, and these two, as they move, you kind of see things from Elvie's point of view, and she writes in a notebook. She's kind of giving us a sense of what this world is like, and near the beginning, Elvie asks Flora to tell the story of the Marauders. And this is when you kind of understand that, okay, Flora is taking care of Elvie because people attacked the house where it sounds like Elvie's grandparents lived. And they already had Grandpa's truck. When the lights of the vehicle that these two were in hit these people, it was like, oh, that's not Grandpa in the truck. This is these strangers we don't know. They've stolen this apparently. And Elvie's whole thing is, hey, I'm 10 years old. You can tell me if you think my parents are dead, because I've not seen them since I was 3 years old. And Flora's thing is, they better not be dead. I did not sign up to take care of you for the rest of my life. So she's hoping that, yes, if we can go to Mexico, if we follow the migration of the butterflies, that's where other people we know, family, will be. So the art is really beautiful. And this book, with these two traveling, eventually they meet a couple other people. There's other humans out there. And in terms of the focus on the butterflies and their role in this future world, it's really fascinating. And Elvie, she is working to help Flora, and she's trying to do science, but it's a little bit tricky, especially when they get this other kid along with them, and this poor kid is just, he doesn't want to have a shot. He's scared of shots, but it's like, hey bud, the sun's coming up, and we don't want you to die from sun sickness. We're trying to take care of you and help you out. But again, other humans, as in any sort of apocalyptic story, this can mean problems. This can be, oh, here's like a drawing that Elvie has done, and hey, this might be great. This might be a fine situation where these people are helpful, but we're not sure. You have to read and decide for yourself. Well, what's up, and who among the humans out there can these people trust? So at the heart of the story is Elvie and Flora, and these two being family to each other, but also still looking for other family. And yeah, if you like graphic novels, check this out. It's a really beautiful book, and I'm excited to, you get to the end, I will say, it's a story of kind of a post-apocalyptic world, but it does end on an uplifting note. You don't exactly know, though. You get to the end, and Flora and Elvie, they have arrived in Mexico with another survivor, and somebody's there. Somebody is waiting for them, but you don't get to see who. So you can kind of, I guess, read the book and then guess for yourself. You can speculate, okay, who do you think is there at the end waiting for them? So check it out. This is a Junior Library Guild Gold Standard selection, which I'm familiar with Junior Library Guild, but I didn't know that other term is not familiar to me. So a good book, essentially, is what that label means. Next, this book is called Ducks. And this book is by Kate Beaton. She wrote Hark, a Vagrant, a very popular online comic. And this book, it's one of the best reviewed books of the year. I think it's probably the best graphic novel of the year, for sure. And in this book, you meet Kate Beaton when she is still living in Canada. To be fair, I think she mostly lives in Canada these days as well. But she is from Cape Breton, and specifically Mabo. And this is a part of Canada, Nova Scotia specifically, where there's a long tradition of people having to leave to find work. This is a place where, okay, there's not a lot of industry, or there just simply aren't jobs in this part of Canada. But at this time, in the 21st century, one place you can go for work, if you're looking for that, you can go west to Alberta and get involved in the oil rush. This is where the oil sands are located. And so lots of people come from the East Coast, they go west to Alberta, and Katie is out of college. She has decided, okay, I want to pay off my student loans. I want to pay off my debt. I don't want to just have this debt hanging over me. I'm going to go and do this job for a while just because I can make a lot of money. And it is not exactly, getting into this, she doesn't know what it will be like exactly. She, starts the book with, she's writing down terms like tool crib. That's where she's going to work, is in a tool crib. And her mom is worried, of course. She has, let's find a photo. This is Kate, her family. So there's her mom and her dad, and she has 3 sisters. And they're all, either in college or headed that way. The youngest sister is 11th grade. But Becky, she is a recent science graduate, and then Maura is in her 3rd year, and then Katie, she is an arts graduate. And so in this book, she's learning to do this job. She's learning to work in the tool crib and everything that entails. A lot of it is simply signing out tools for employees, and you meet other people who live in the camps. For example, at the beginning of each section, you also get these really sort of beautiful, stark, kind of haunting images of the camps themselves. And so this is Sign Crude in Aurora, and these are, this is Kate and her co-workers there. And what we find as time passes, these camps are just a very sort of interesting place, not always in a good way. Like any microcosm of society, when people are isolated and there's not a lot going on, you can get into some kind of extreme situations in terms of mental health and in terms of destructive behavior. People sometimes use drugs, they sometimes drink to excess, and Katie, at one point, she sees this fox, and it's this beautiful thing, but it's also you're worried because it's like this is a wild animal. It shouldn't be hanging around the dumpsters. This isn't going to end well. And in doing this job for a while, in living in different camps, she meets a lot of different people, and what she finds is, it's not a constant thing where, oh, every day of this job, somebody is bothering you. If you're one of the few women in the camp, certainly you may experience harassment. And the thing about this is, the part of the reason that this book has really been just gotten a lot of critical acclaim is it's a very realistic portrayal of what that looks like. So, for example, if you're a woman, probably you've had the experience of someone yelling something at you from a car. That's not fun. We don't enjoy that as a rule. But this is a book that does point out the fact that, hey, most people aren't caricatures. As much as we might sort of want to oversimplify things and be like, well, that person's just a jerk. Well, maybe they are in that moment. Maybe they are a lot of the time. But they might also be a father and a husband and a brother. And the way a person is in a moment, that doesn't mean they're like that all the time. It doesn't mean that they're just a terrible, unredeemable jerk. And sexism, unfortunately, it's this endemic thing where, again, especially in an isolated place, certain things are said and certain things happen. And Kate is just trying to get through her time on this job, and she's wondering, like, okay, well, what's the best way to approach this? When guys are like hanging around the tool crib just to like look at me, I don't like that. But at the same time, she's in an environment where you aren't really encouraged to speak out and like raise the specter of, hey, I'm uncomfortable in this situation. I don't like guys just hanging around to stare at me when I'm trying to work. That's not great. So the difficulty, Katie, not only is she's learning this new job, she's in a place where she doesn't have much of a support network. Eventually, though, as time passes, she's making friends, and also she knows other people. Other people close to her come here to work. And people want these jobs badly. The thing about it is, Katie, as she works in this place, she starts to experience more and more of what it's like to be in these places long term. And that means lots of different things. It's not just the mental effect of an isolating job like this, where you might not go home for a very long time. You're here and you're going to stay because you're trying to make money. You're trying to make as much money as you can. Most people don't want to be in this place forever. So it's like, well, the more I work, the sooner I can leave. But what you find, again, it's not just, hey, we're in a situation where mental health issues aren't being dealt with necessarily. Also, there's car accidents, and in terms of like physical stuff, like at one point, Kate's taking a shower, and it's like, hey, what's the deal with just like my skin is getting weird? And she's been in this place for a while, and it's like, oh, well, yeah, this is just one of those things that happens sometimes. You don't exactly know in this place what kind of chemicals you're being exposed to, what stuff you are working with. And you're like, yeah, here we go. She it's not exactly well, it's that. And she asks her coworker, Lindsay, like, do you ever get stuff on your skin from being here? And Lindsay's like, oh yeah, I don't know what that is. Do I even want to know what kind of cancer we'll have in 20 years? And Kate's thinking, wow, and we're inside. Like, this stuff is just in the air. Yikes. And the place the title comes from, so it's called Ducks because of this bird die-off, and it makes the news. And this, and also an interview with a Native American woman talking about the effect of people coming in to the oil sands to extract the oil, the effect that this has on the land and the people, and how this poisons the water, this poisons the air. And yes, okay, we live in this world where there is a demand for oil, but this is the sort of thing where maybe we should leave this in the ground based on what it is doing, not just to wildlife and to people who live permanently in this area, but also the people coming in just to work, people who might just be here for months or a couple years, like Katie. Okay, we don't have a good understanding of how much this will shorten lifespans. And it's this trade-off, though. It's this long history of the entire Western world in many ways. I mean, I think specifically as somebody from the Western world in terms of we have this narrative of many generations of people having to leave home and often go west to find work. I mean, I'm someone that did that. I'm from Michigan. I'm from 6 hours east of here. And Katie is like, this is a very extreme example, obviously, of going far away and having a job that she just wants to pay off college. But in doing this job for a couple years, she starts to think about, okay, I really don't want to be a part of this. You know, I didn't understand going in the larger effect that this has. And most of us don't. I think there's this idea that, well, most of us know that, hey, fossil fuels certainly have an effect on the world, but until you're working in that industry, a lot of us, like, we don't have to see it. We don't have to see the daily actual consequences of what that looks like. And not just for, again, it's people, but it's like all levels. It's physical and it's mental and it's emotional and it's everything. And I mean, just this is a story where, you know, it ends with this afterword. And I mean, this is sort of, it's a book where, okay, she's talking about real things that happened to her, changed some names, but for the most part, this is a true account, as best she can remember, of what it was like to do these jobs and work in these camps and the people she knew. And again, like, yes, there was sexism, yes, there was harassment, but there were also people who became great friends and were people just trying to make the best of being in a not great situation. Like a friend, when she finally left, there was a friend of hers who gave her some photos. And, you know, some of these friends, like, you wouldn't know them to look at them. Like, oh, you know, maybe it's just this kind of middle-aged guy with glasses. He looks like a normal dude. But, you know, Katie's getting ready to leave, you know, comes up and says, I heard you were leaving us. She's like, you won't miss me. You'll find some other angry nag to be mad about the Sunshine Girl. The Sunshine Girl is like kind of a nudie calendar that's hung up. And, you know, this is right after Katie has, you know, in talking with some coworkers at lunch, all guys, no one ever asks if anyone else is doing okay when they're not. And she's leaving, you know, she's on her way out. So she is kind of at this point starting to speak up and say, hey, there are certainly ways that this could be a healthier work environment. But anyway, the friend that she talks to, he says, I got you some things. She's like, huh? And what he did was he printed out some photos that he had shown her previously. She's like, oh, Norman. It's like, wow, you know, he's one of my favorites. There's one of Long Lake, too. I heard you were there. Yeah. It was a nice day. There was a big rainbow. A little piece of here to take with you. And, you know, she just gives him a hug, and here's the rainbow. And so it's this place where, yes, it is in many ways a difficult life, and here's the Aurora Borealis. This is the other photo that her friend Norman prints for her. And it's sort of just the dichotomy, I guess, of being human and being in this industry, because you're getting to see the beauty of the natural world, and you're also seeing the incredible ingenuity of humanity, but also the way that we don't take care of other humans necessarily very well. You know, we don't always understand what they're going through until it's long past the time when, hey, it would have been good to intervene and maybe help somebody out because they're struggling. So it's just a really fascinating book. It's quite an in-depth graphic novel, and it's got just so many highs and so many lows. It's the ups and downs of having a difficult job and being far from home, but also, you know, this particular job is certainly a unique experience. And in this book, Kate is trying to unpack this, you know, what she went through and what it was like for her and for other women that she knew, just being, again, it's like something less than 10% of the population, I believe. And so she's trying to understand that and how that felt. And also, you know, this is the Native American activist who talks about the almighty dollar comes first. That's pretty sad. You can't eat money. At the cost of our lives, as long as they get their money. They don't care how many of us they kill off. That's the way I feel. And, you know, this is Kate coming around to recognizing, oh, I don't want to be a part of this. I am a part of this, but I don't want to continue doing this job. I don't want to be directly here. But, you know, reading this book, you certainly feel that, well, okay, as much as you want to, even if you want to get out of this system, If you want to get an electric car or something like that, well, there's still ways that harms the environment. It's really hard to live in the 21st century and escape fossil fuels. And even if you wish, like, hey, I think that this should be done differently or better, and I really wish that people weren't getting poisoned doing these jobs or, having these traumatic experiences, it's not gone away. These still exist. This isn't like a story from long ago. This is in the recent past, these 2 years in the oil sands. So check it out. It's a really, really fascinating book, and I mean, it's memoir, and it's just, yeah, graphic novel wise, this was the best graphic novel I read this year. So check it out. And again, both of these are available through Libby. You can also check these out. Like Ducks, I'm gonna just put back on the shelf because I actually read it. I got to review it before it came out, I was delighted to do that. And Little Monarchs, this is actually Moline's copy, but I've ordered one for us, and we'll get it at some point. And thank you for watching. I will see you again next week.